What's up, guys? D-Rock1992 here. For this next video and for my next About video, I'm going to be talking about a comedian who I'm surprised I haven't talked about yet. He's one of the best comedians out there going today. He is a member of the so-called Frat Pack. This Frat Pack includes guys that I've talked about: Adam Sandler, Will Ferrell, Owen Wilson, Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn. But this next member of the Frat Pack is one of the zaniest, funniest comedians out there, and that guy is none other than Jack Black. He can do it all. He's a musician. He has his own band called Tenacious D, which I will be talking about. I'll talk about his band afterwards. He has a great success in film, and he's also done well in television as well. I don't think he doesn't really have any sitcoms of his own, like any sitcoms that made him famous, I don't think. But I'll have to look in his television list as I go down, as I talk about it. But yeah, Jack Black is a very funny guy, and I will definitely be talking about that in this video. His film debut, I'm going to talk about film first. His film debut came in 1991 with a television film called Our Shining Moment. And then the next 10 years or so, he had to really establish himself in Hollywood. He had to really work hard. He appeared in Demolition Man in 1993, the Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes action movie. In 1995, he appeared in Waterworld, the Kevin Costner movie. 1996, he appears in Biodome, which has starred Stephen Baldwin and Pauly Shore. And in Biodome, he plays he makes a cameo with his band Tenacious D. In 1996, he appears in The Cable Guy in a supporting role. The Ben Stiller directed Jim Carrey, Matthew Broderick movie. 1998, he appears in a small role in Enemy of the State, the Will Smith and Gene Hackman movie. Also in 98, he appears in the sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, in an uncredited role. And then in 2000, he appears in a movie called High Fidelity. Jack Black considers this his breakout film. He co-stars in the film with John Cusack. But I disagree with Jack Black on that instance. There is a breakout film of his that is coming up on this list, and that I will definitely talk about. One of my favorite Jack Black performances of all time, by the way. But High Fidelity, I think, is a breakthrough. Because it's one of his first big-time co-starring roles. After that movie, a year later, he has a good year. He appears in a couple big comedies. A couple pretty big, fairly big comedies. 2001, Saving Silverman. Maybe not a lot of people have heard about it. Actually, so I shouldn't say it's a huge, big comedy, because it isn't. But anyway, Saving Silverman is where he and a buddy of his have to try to stop another buddy of theirs from getting really serious with his girlfriend, who's controlling and manipulative. So that's basically what the plot is about. And then also, in 2001, he stars in the movie Shallow Hal, with Gwyneth Paltrow. And in this movie, he's a guy who at first sees women on the outside, based on outwardly appearances. He sees them, for example, if he sees a fat person, he sees them as being fat. However, a guru comes in, a very famous guru comes into the picture, and he puts a little, he makes Jack Black see the inside of people. So Gwyneth Paltrow's character is a fatty. Gwyneth Paltrow had to wear a fat suit for the role, but he can only see the inside of Gwyneth Paltrow's character who wore the fat suit. He sees her for the inside, which is really what she looks like. Gwyneth Paltrow is a skinny, tall woman, and in real life, and she's a gorgeous woman. And Jack Black sees that side of her. It's an interesting premise, and one that worked, because the film is successful. It's one of the top Jack Black comedies, in my opinion. And also, Jason Alexander is in the movie. George Costanza from Seinfeld. In 2002, he stars in a supporting role in the animated movie Ice Age. Ice Age, a very successful franchise. Ray Romano is the main character. Let's see here. And then, now we get to his breakout performance. The one that made him a star. A complete star. High Fidelity, Shallow Hal, and Saving Silverman really put him into this, really put him out there as a comedian. They really were a stepping stone for Jack Black. They really got people noticing, hey, this guy is a talented comedian. But 2003 School of Rock was the movie that made him a superstar, in my opinion. It was his breakout role. And it is I'll tell you one thing, it has one of the greatest rock soundtracks of all time, by far. I love classic rock. It's one of my favorite genres of music. And it is my favorite genre of music. And this soundtrack for School of Rock is awesome, because it has a lot of classic rock staples as hits. Jack Black, Tenacious D's a rock band, and he really shows his love for rock in School of Rock. In the movie, he is a substitute. He is an impersonator of a friend of his who's a substitute teacher. He impersonates that his friend, as the substitute teacher, and he teaches his kids, the kids he is looking after, rock and roll. It's a cute movie, and it's also a good movie. It really is. It really is a classic in the Jack Black filmography. It really, it made him a superstar in the comedy world. And, it is one of his best performances, for sure. He appears in a cameo. He has a cameo appearance in 2004 in Anchorman: The Legend of Ron Burgundy, and appears in a movie called Envy with Ben Stiller. I think Ben Stiller. Yes, Ben Stiller. Also in 2004, he appears in the animated movie Shark Tale as one of the main characters, along with Will Smith. 2005, which is 2005's interesting for him. He appears in one movie, King Kong, which is a remake of the 1933 King Kong movie. So this is a remake years in the making. And literally years in the making. And Jack Black is a little different in this one. He's not playing the zany, wacky character that he always plays. He plays a subdued, calm down type character thing is, his character apparently is a sleazebag. I remember watching parts of King Kong a long time ago, and I know the story. I know the overall story and all that. They capture there's hunters, explorers slash hunters who kidnap King Kong and bring him to the city to be, to display him to the world. Then King Kong breaks out. He goes on top of the Empire State Building with usually that woman who's on there. And the woman in question in 2005's King Kong is Naomi Watts. And he basically falls off the tower and dies afterwards, after airplanes are circling around the sky and shooting at him. But yeah, I know the whole thing about King Kong. I haven't watched the entire movie though. In 2006, he appears in Nacho Libre. First of all, he appears in The Holiday in a supporting role. The movie The Holiday, Cameron Diaz is in the movie, and I think Kate Winslet. Yeah, Kate Winslet, Jude Law. And I think I talked about The Holiday with Cameron Diaz. In 2006, in 2006, he appears in one of his best comedies, Nacho Libre. In this one, it's a cute it's a cute comedy that the kids can see, definitely. It's, adults can definitely see it. It's geared towards kids. I mean, kids and adults alike can see it. Nacho Libre is where he is a member, he's a orphan or a helper at a monastery, and he gets the idea he has a dream of pursuing wrestling, and he gets that dream, and he calls himself Nacho Libre, and he has to raise money for a certain thing. But yeah, Jack Black is the main star of the movie, and he plays Nacho, and it's one of his best performances. In 2006, he appears in a movie about his band Tenacious D, which was called Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny. And he plays himself, essentially. And he also produced the movie as well. In 2008, he starts a film franchise that's very popular, an animation film franchise, and that franchise is Kung Fu Panda. The first Kung Fu Panda came out in 2008, Kung Fu Panda 2 came out in 2011, and Kung Fu Panda 3 is slated to come out in 2016. And for this franchise, they're planning 6 movies. They want to make 6 movies of this. So it already is a big franchise, but it looks to be an even bigger franchise. They also had a Kung Fu Panda holiday special on television, or a short film, in 2010. In 2008, he appears in Tropic Thunder, which is a classic, a big-time comedy, a really good comedy. I really like the movie a lot. You have heavyweights, Ben Stiller, Robert Downey Jr., Tom Cruise, Matthew McConaughey, and Jack Black, who is a parody of Chris Farley. Chris Farley, the famous Saturday Night Live performer, and branched out into movies. But yeah, Tropic Thunder is a really good comedy and one of his best. In 2009, he appears in the movie Year One. There are friends of mine who really like this comedy a lot. There's a couple friends of mine in particular who love the comedy. They also really love the School of Rock. And I watched it eventually. I watched The School of Rock recently, and I watched it eventually because they were talking so good about it. Year one, I watched it a long time ago because they were talking good about it, my friends. And I wasn't disappointed. Year one was a good movie. It was it was a parody of biblical times. So it had that going for it, and it was a good parody. And it was good. It was a good movie. In 2010, he stars in the movie Gulliver's Travels. Gulliver's Travels is a film adaptation of the famous book by the author, the 18th century novelist Jonathan Swift. And there's some star power in this movie. You have Jack Black, you have Emily Blunt, and you have Jason Segel in the movie. Gulliver's Travels didn't do extremely well, and he was nominated for a Razzie Award for Worst Actor, but there was definitely an audience for the movie. And I say that because the movie made over $237 million on a $112 million budget. So it made money. 2011, besides Kung Fu Panda 2, he comes out with a movie called Bernie. It's a black comedy film, and it is about a guy. It's based on a true story about a guy named Bernie Tiede, who kills an older woman, who I think romances an older woman and then kills her for the inheritance money, and she's a very rich woman, and the guy is a beloved figure in his town. You know, I know that story. I know a bit of that story. It has Jack Black and Matthew McConaughey in it, and another collaboration with McConaughey. My friends, the same friends that really liked Year One and The School of Rock, hated this movie. They really did not like the movie at all. I can't say anything about it because I haven't seen it. But it got a lot of great reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and things like that. It really got good reviews. And he was nominated for a Golden Globe Award, Jack Black was, for Best Actor. So that says something. Next up, he stars in a movie called The Big Year. And if you've never heard of the movie, it actually has some star power in it. Steve Martin and Owen Wilson co-star along with Jack Black. And this movie didn't do very well, I think. You know, it just didn't do extremely well. It's about bird watching. It did not do well because it was on a budget of $41 million. It made just above $7 million. So it lost money, for sure. Let's see. He appears in an uncredited role in 2011 in the movie The Muppets. The Muppets was a huge success. And then he takes a couple of years off from movies. In 2012 and 2013, he doesn't appear in any movies at all. In 2014, he only appears in one movie. But it's an uncredited role in the movie Sex Tape. Cameron Diaz and Jason Segel were in the movie. Sex Tape is a movie I really want to see. I didn't get to see in theaters. But anyway, there are 3 movies that I see that are coming up on Jack Black's filmography. A movie called, first one I'm going to talk about, is a movie called D-Train. It's set to come out next year. I don't know what the release date is, but there's two actors for it, Jack Black and James Marsden, who I've heard of before. I've heard of the name. And no release date yet, but The D Train, it's a comedy film, and look for that out sometime next year. Like I said, Kung Fu Panda 3 is coming out in 2016, March 18th of 2016, and it returns many of the same characters from the first two Kung Fu Panda movies, like Angelina Jolie, Dustin Hoffman, Seth Rogen, Jackie Chan, and among others. And then in 2016, he is going to star in the film adaptation of Goosebumps. Goosebumps are a series of books that were written back in the day by an author named R.L. Stine. And I had some of the Goosebumps books. I had a few of the Goosebumps books, and I read them. Definitely. They were interesting horror-type films. And the film itself is an upcoming, it's going to be an adventure horror comedy film. Jack Black actually plays R.L. Stine. And here's how the plot runs. After moving into a small town of Greenland, Maryland, a teenage boy named Zach Cooper, who's played by an actor named Dylan Minnette, meets Hannah, who's played by an actress named Odeya Rush, his new neighbor. Hannah's father, R.L. Stine, who visits the Goosebumps stories, keeps all the ghosts and monsters, or who writes the Goosebumps stories, keeps all the ghosts and monsters in the series locked up in his books. When Zach unintentionally releases the ghosts and the monsters from the storybooks, Zach, Hannah, and Stine team up in order to put the monsters back where they came from before it's too late. It just sounds like a very interesting story. One that I would like to see, definitely. It looks like a worthwhile movie. Look for that April 15th of 2016. And that's it for movies in general, for Jack Black. Now I'm going to move into his television career, and I'm only going to talk briefly about it. He makes his television debut in 1993 with, or not his television debut, but he has an appearance in 1993's The Golden Palace. And I mention that because it is a spin-off of The Golden Girls, the popular 80s sitcom with Betty White and Bea Arthur and all those guys, and a couple others as well. Let's see. He appears on an episode of The X-Files in 1995. Let's see here. I'm going to go through here and see what I can talk about. He appears on a TV show called Tenacious D, and it ran from 1997 to 2000, but only made 6 episodes. Jack Black was in the series. It's an HBO series, and it was featured the fictional accounts of the real band Tenacious D, which is Jack Black. Was created by Jack Black and his partner in Tenacious D, Kyle Gass. He hosted the 2002 MTV Movie Awards in 2002. He appeared on Mad TV in 2002. Mad TV, for those of you who don't know, is a comedy sketch show like Saturday Night Live. Was a comedy sketch show. It's canceled now. But he appears as one of the members of Tenacious D. 2003, he appears in Will and Grace, the sitcom, in an episode. From 2003 to 2004, he appeared on an internet series called Computer Man for 6 episodes. That only aired for 6 episodes. Let's see here. He hosted the 2006 Kids' Choice Awards in 2006, and also hosted the 2006 MTV Video Music Awards in that year. He appears on an episode of The Simpsons in 2007. Appears as himself in 2008 in the Sesame Street show. He then hosts the Kids' Choice Awards again in 2008. Also in that year hosts the Spike Video Game Awards. He appears in an episode of The Office in 2009. Appears in an episode of Community in 2010 and iCarly in 2010, the Nickelodeon show. Hosts the Kids' Choice Awards again in 2011 and stars in a couple of episodes of Drunk History, the Comedy Central series, in 2013 and 2014. Let's see here. He also, there is, let's see here. There is actually going to be an upcoming HBO comedy that stars him called The Brink, and it's classified as a black comedy. And that's it for television. Now, before I go, I am going to talk about his Tenacious D career. If I can find it. Which I think I can. He definitely appeared in Tenacious D. He is a founding member of Tenacious D. With his partner Kyle Gass. The band formed in 1994. And they've released 3 albums. Tenacious D in 2001. Let's see here. We'll go through the list of... I'll mention some songs. They have... You know, Tenacious D in 2001 was their first album. 2006, their second album, The Pick of Destiny, was released. And in 2012, they released Rise of the Phoenix, spelled F-E-N-I-X. And in the United States, the first album went to number 33 and went platinum. The second one went to number 8 and went gold. And the third one went to number 4 and did not get a status as gold. It didn't get a gold album. It wasn't a gold album. Also, there were some extended plays. 2002, he released Defund Pack. In 2012, he releases an EP called Jazz, which stands for extended play. His highest charting single in the U.S. is a song called P.O.D., which charted at number 78 on the charts. His 4 singles are Tribute, Wonder Boy, which I've listened to. I've listened to Wonder Boy, P.O.D., and Rise of the Phoenix. So yeah, just a little thing about Jack Black. There's also one that I've listened to a couple of times before that he came out with in 2001, and pardon my language, but it is a song called Fuck Her Gently. It's a good song. I really like it. And that's it for the filmography for the film, television, and music career of Jack Black. One of the great talents in Hollywood today. I hope he continues a great stretch of comedy and music and television that he's been in. And I hope he has continued success in the future. That's it for this video. D-Rock 1992 out.